you've all received a packing list and you know what you're supposed to bring on the trip, look over that and see if you have any questions about that or about anything else that we'll be doing out in the field or while we're camping. Margaret.
Miss Secretary, what are we going to do about the bathrooms?
Well, since there's no running water and we don't have toilet facilities out there while camping, we'll be using the cat method.
Will we be doing any fishing?
Yeah, she'll be pulling nets, and you can probably take a line if you want to fish on your own, too.
Can we eat what we catch?
Sure.
Dinner!
What about bugs? I mean, I can't stand bugs. Do we bring a net?
I'd recommend bug spray. If you want to bring a head net, that's up to you. Sam?
Is the mud gonna be real deep?
Yes.
Do I have to get in?
Yes. Everybody will have assignments of cooking, cleaning up after meal preparation, and carrying equipment, and cleaning up around camp. There will also be, along on the trips, several juniors who apply for a position as junior counselor, and they'll be helping organize cooking groups and cleaning groups, but they will not be doing the cooking and the cleaning for you.
We have to write journals. What do we have to put in this?
Well, in the journal part of the record that you'll be keeping, we'd like you to keep an account of how you're feeling, what kind of growth may be taking place, maybe a summary of how you've changed or how you feel the people about you've changed.
Okay, where are you now? Brownsville. We use this as our mainland headquarters for the Virginia Coast Reserve. The Virginia Coast Reserve consists of all or part of 13 of Virginia's barrier islands extending along the coast of the eastern shore here, along Virginia's coast. Here at Brownsville, you'll gain an introduction to your experience on Paramore. Now, are these two separate areas, do you think? Are they interrelated at all?
Probably.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking at this interrelationship between the marshes here at Brownsville and the marshes and beaches out on Paramore. How about in between? What do we have?
Water.
Water. The bay we'll be crossing right in this area is called Hog Island Bay. The important thing to remember is the interdependency of the land areas and the life they support and how it all works together. So keep that as a theme in your mind. But think of it as one system, one whole system.
One plant you need to know is this one right here.
Poison ivy.
You're going to see poison ivy like that on the ground. You're also going to see poison ivy on the sides of trees, climbing up in vines like that out there. That entire field you just walked through was poison ivy. Watch where you put your latrine, because if you put it down in a poison ivy patch, everybody will be very upset with you by tomorrow. These plants need to adapt to living in salt water. Are they in salt water right now?
Kind of. Slightly.
It's small amount. The salinity's low, but it's here.
From our salinity test, we know that it's not totally salt, but it's slightly salty.
Tastes like salt. Try it. Tastes just like it.
Okay, let's look around for signs of succession and talk about succession for a few minutes.
The succession took place, if you look right directly over here, it's a small grassland, I guess, or marsh, and then it kind of grew into a few bigger plants or strawberry, I guess. And then from there on, it went to a forest. So I guess succession took place in this area.
It looked exactly like the diagrams we had in school.
Yeah.
It looked really artificial when you saw it on paper. When you got out there, it was really amazing because they looked identical.
What we're going to do is split up and let you walk around, even in this area, on out to where you get your feet muddy. What do we want to look for? We'll do some physical tests like salinity, temperature, and pH.
Look further animals.
You look for plant life.
Animal life.
I look for animal life.
But this one's moving. Come here, Sarah.
one?
It's right here. See it. It moved all the way over there. See. There it is. See.
Oh, okay. Get that one then.
Wait, why'd you do this?
Let me get that one.
No, it's moving on its own. Just get it. There you go.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it. You can barely see it, but it's there.
Let me get it inside.
First you put in distilled water, then you put in the water you're going to test. And then you put in this, which is salinity titration. And it causes reaction when you add the salinity indicator.
See, you got a pregnant crab.
Oh my, how you know it's pregnant?
Because, see, they say that when they get pregnant, they carry the eggs around their apron. And you can see the eggs in the apron.
What I got was 7.7 pH.
Each color represents a different pH level?
Yes. Hey, we found a turtle over here.
Oh, what's that?
That's grass shrimp. Grass shrimp.
Little grass shrimp.
You can eat them. What are these? You want to try it?
See if you can eat it and...
I can't do it.
It's a very good experience. It's a little different. Different from the regular everyday thing where you just go to school, go home, go to bed. You're here doing something all day with your hands and with your eyes and all your senses.
I think it's okay out here surviving and stuff like that. It gives us a better experience than reading about it in books at school.
What was the marsh like at the first sight?
It's pretty solid muddy.
Muddy. Muddy.
When the trip first started, I was really, at first I didn't really want to go because I thought we were going to be going outside in the mud all day long. And that didn't look very pleasing to me. And I really didn't appreciate the Marsh or the Barrier Islands. But now, I appreciate it more and I see how important it is. And so I thought that walking in the mud wasn't that bad.
Ow, you're ripping my arm out of its socket.
I really didn't want to come at first, but now that I'm here, I'm having a lot of fun, especially the mud mucking, which is the best part of the trip. I did learn a lot out here that I wouldn't have even paid attention to in class. And I've learned how to be compatible with everybody else. Instead of everything having to be my way, I've learned how to adjust.
I think we've all learned a lot more about each other as when you're in school. First say, I'll see Harold. Hey, Harold, how's it going? Pass by him in the hall, and I don't really know him that well. But now that we're out here and we're roughing it, and everybody has to work together, you get to know people a lot better than just, you see them in the hall at school.
When you write your log and you put your scientific information, we go back and look at it, and it kind of helps you remember more easily. I think really I've memorized most of the stuff I've learned out here, but if there's something I've forgotten, I can go back and look at my log and see what it was, and say, well, that was May 19th, what was this that I saw? And in the journal, you write what happened, and that also helps you relate to what, you say, well, we saw Spartina alterniflora de Letitia got up to her waist in mud.
We're going out to a place. Where are we going? Paramore Island, right. That is pretty far away from here. It's a pretty remote place. There's not a whole lot going on in Paramore except for what's going on in nature. We're going to be the only people, more or less, out on Paramore Island. We're going to be camping in tents. We're going to be setting up our own community. And we're going to do a lot of things, but we're pretty much going to do what nature allows us to do for the next few days. We might have to take a little bit of time getting out to the island because right now the tides are getting very, very, very low, okay?
If the tide is low, then it could cause a boat to get stuck in sand or mud or whatever might be, considered the floor. You can tell that it is a low tide because you can see right over there, right in the sort of like brown, muddy area, where it's still kind of wet. And that's the normal area where the normal high tide goes every day. So when it's high tide, it'll cover up.
Island changes very fast. I was here in October, and to me it looks almost nothing like it did then. You hear it in the classroom, but you really don't believe it. Then when you come out here and you see how much it's changed.
We're going to play a game, a special barrier island game. What's the point of all this? How waves work and how waves push sand around, right? Okay? So what happened? We had the waves come in and it pushed the sand and just sort of piled it up. We had plants, enough of upland for plants to grow, right? So we had beach grass, like we have right here. We had a dune, and the waves, summer waves rolling in. It was very peaceful and nice. But then winter came. Strong winter waves rolled in, and they kept rolling. They rolled in, and they broke right through our dune, didn't they? But what happened to the dune? The dune regenerated itself when it got knocked down, didn't it? Just like right behind us. These dunes are like an animal that's adapted to its environment. These islands are like an animal that's adapted to its environment. They move, they get pushed around, they get broken down, but they can regrow and they can move. These islands have been changing, they've been washing around. They erode at one end and accrete or build up on the other end.
We had to look at the sand and find out what type of minerals were in the sand and what grain and how fine or coarse it was. And then we had to look at the waves and see what direction they were coming in relation to the wind and the wave period. And then we had to figure out whether or not the tides were going in or out and why. Then we had to taste the water to see whether it was salty or whatever. Then we had to figure out the temperature of the water. Then we watched birds fly overhead and got some characteristics and behavior of the birds. And then we tried to what animals we saw. And then we just relaxed and listened to what was going on with the water and the birds and animals and things.
You see the eyes on top of the head?
They have very large eyes.
They bury themselves in the sand and they stick their eyes out of the sand so they can see like a prey or some kind of predator coming toward them.
There's also another way that you measure the wavelength, and that's the distance between each crest. And the crest is what you can see when the wave breaks. The white foam is at the crest.
When a surf runs back like this, it tries to protect itself from drying out and from predators like seagulls by folding over the back part.
Anybody want to guess what this is?
It looks like some kind of plant.
All right, let's look inside.
What like something an animal drops?
See, right above my finger? The little baby conch shells.
Oh.
They grow to be these.
Yes. Oh.
Grow? How, in what way?
They're animals. They're alive.
Look at this. These don't look like real nests. Really, it's like little holes.
Yeah, they're just kind of thrown together. There's an indentation in the sand and shells and sticks, but it's not a specific form.
Do you know what we call that?
I think it's a scrape, isn't it?
It's a scrape, that's right.
You're obviously learning about the environment. Are you learning anything about yourself that you might not have known?
can go for 8 days without Pop-Tarts.
I learned how to sleep on a hill.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of survived. Without my television and my record player.
When I got out there at first, I felt real uncomfortable because I was used to being around Dawn and Penny and Michelle, and when we'd look at something, we'd say, oh look, this is a shell, and we'd share it together. And it was weird to have no one to share it with, but it was nice in a way because it was like a secret that you'd found.
When I first came here, I thought I was going to have a very hard time. I wasn't happy about the bathroom situation or the bugs or anything. But after I got, used to it, I said to myself, hey, it isn't bad at all. And this morning I went out on the beach and just to listen to the wind and everything, and I really enjoyed that. And I didn't know I liked that. So I learned something about myself.
The way this works is this. You read directly what's directly in front of you. So we see north on the compass, so north is in this direction here. If you spin around the opposite way, south will of course be this way. So reading a compass, you always read from the front of the compass.
You gotta shake it up after every drop. One drop. Hold it like this. Hold it like this. Like that.
Like go to 1 to 0, 0 to 1.
No, just look down. Look. I'm showing you how to hold it so you get one drop in at a time. That was 3, you know it.
With this net back here, which is called an otter trawl, we will be able to sample both the plankton, the nectonic animals, and also the benthic animals.
How do they swim upside
Does everybody know that before you pick up a fish, you're supposed to wet your hand?
Right before you pick up the fish, dries them out, that doesn't help.
Are these things eyes? These little things that are open and closed.
This is a male skate. Skates and sharks are all in a family called elasmobranchs. They're not true fishes. And the reason I can tell this is a male is these claspers. You got it. Just like on a male shark.
What do you think this fish feeds on, judging by the looks of his mouth?
Other fish. I see teeth.
Oh yeah, teeth.
You see what? Like cellophane. It feels like cellophane. It looks sort of like real lettuce.
Did anybody find out what that green stuff is?
Sea lettuce.
What do you know about starfish?
If they can lose a limb, and you can chop it up into little pieces,
and they all grow back.
You know, the flounder can also change color.
Yeah.
They have special cells called chromatophores that hold a pigment called melanin and pump that melanin up near the surface to turn darker. Or they can withdraw it from the surface layer to turn lighter. This flounder right here is turning lighter in my hand because I've got him in the sunlight. Exactly.
Students wrote essays in English class related to the experience. Okay, I think that kind of interdisciplinary sharing. And I really think your preparatory research as a project with English class was a good one.
That really helped everybody in the field because students were able to
learn from each other and also take the role as a teacher. And that was one comment. One student was very surprised that he or she could become a teacher for a day. So I think that your general goals, your activities, though they may vary from site to site, could fit almost any location. And the important thing is to get students out there in the field where they get a chance to put everything they've learned throughout the year in the classroom all together and see it as a whole and as a picture. The most important thing probably is what you do with all those results and all those facts and figures that you compile. And whether it's done out in the field or before you get on the bus or back at school, at some point students need to put everything together to analyze what they saw, compare it to what they'd seen in another location, and get a feeling for that whole system working together.
Buggy. Down to earth.
It's a little funky.
Exhausting.
I'm saying lightning.
I think unpredictable.
Beautiful.
I'd say unbelievable.
Unforgettable.